So in this video, it's very similar to what we did in the first video. We're just going to see some different types of factoring. Same process, same steps, just reviewing everything we've seen kind of. So step one, set it equal to 0. I'm going to subtract that 2x squared from both sides. Step two, always look for the greatest common factor first. In this case, I have a common factor of x squared. So factor that out. And then see if I can continue factoring. So I've got a trinomial in my parentheses. It's in that quadratic formula. So I'm going to think, can I use the t-chart since my lead coefficient is 1? What multiplies to -2 and adds to -2? I'm not seeing that factors. So it looks to me like we are done factoring. So to finish solving, we're going to use the zero product property. So either x squared equals 0, or x squared minus 2x minus 2 equals 0. And we'll use quadratic formula on that one as well. Obviously our first equation, take the square root, we get x equals 0. Second one, x equals -b plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Simplifying under the radical, we have 4 plus 8, which is 12. So we're going to simplify that. 12, of course, is 4 times 3, taking the square root of 4. And then dividing everything by 2, we get 1 plus or minus the square root of 3. So I've got 3 answers on this one. X equals 0, x equals 1 plus the square root of 3, and x equals 1 minus the square root of 3. Those would be our 3 solutions to our equation. Last example, we've got it set equal to 0. Look for GCF. I don't see one for all 3 terms. So now I'm going to see how else might I factor this. It's a trinomial, so hopefully you're thinking that quadratic way of factoring, either the t-chart or the AC method. In this case, our lead coefficient is not 1, so we'll have to use the AC method. Multiply the 4 by -5, what multiplies to -20 and adds to our middle term of 19, +20, -1. So we rewrite that middle term as 20x squared. Use whatever variable is sitting there. Before it was an x, this time it's an x squared. Minus x squared minus 5. Don't lose your equals 0. Still an equation. Group your first 2 terms. Find that GCF for x squared. Factor that out. We're left with x squared plus 5. Second 2 terms, all I'm seeing is a -1, leaving us with x squared plus 5, still equals 0. GCF now is x squared plus 5, leaving us with 4x squared minus 1. Step 4, keep asking if you can factor until the answer is no. I've got a difference of squares in my second set of parentheses, so I'm going to continue to factor. So this would factor into 2x plus 1, 2x minus 1. And finally, use the zero product property. Set each term equal to 0 and solve. So x squared plus 5 equals 0, 2x plus 1 equals 0, and 2x minus 1 equals 0. First equation, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And then when I take the square root, I've got the square root of -5. So I've got that imaginary number, I'm going to pull that out. And 5 doesn't have any perfect square factors, so we get x equals I times the square root of 5. Second equation, subtract 1, divide by 2. Third equation, add 1, divide by 2. So we've got plus or minus 1/2 as well as I times the square root of 5 for our solutions. You try problems.